How's it going, guys? Check this out. I've got a prediction here that will stay there the whole time. I've also got two clumps of cards, a larger clump and a smaller clump. Now, you wouldn't believe me if I told you the choice was free because you're not here. So to represent that, I'm going to use this not sponsored illusionist coin. So this is tails, this is heads. Whatever we fall on, that will be the choice. So we're going to make heads small, and we're going to make tails the large packet. Okay, let's see where it lands. I'm going to not turn it over here. It landed on heads. That means we have the small packet here. Now, before we get to the small packet, I want you to notice that these are all just random cards here in the larger packet. Nothing really significant about them. But you landed on a packet that, without telling you, I placed all the 8s in. And wouldn't you know it, but that was my prediction of what you would pick. This is an old classic trick. It's about over 100 years old that applies the multiple out principle. And I really wanted to teach a multiple out trick on this channel. And if you're a modern magician today, you can actually find products that still apply this principle in some pretty fascinating ways. Blake Voigt, for example, has the multiple out envelopes that you can check out. I've talked about the shadow wallet on this channel. So there's products that actually allow magicians to have access to multiple outs. What do I mean by multiple outs? Well, it just means that you have multiple predictions that satisfy the conclusion, or at least that's one example of it. So you might have a secret envelope or a secret gimmick that has all the potential options that a spectator could give, and then you make it look as though that was the only prediction you ever had. So that's one way the multiple out idea can be applied, but this is really a classic example that is multiple out in a sense in terms of whichever option they choose, you make it look like that was what was predicted, but this is the only ever thing that's ever here. So this really is the one prediction. Where it becomes a no matter what they choose, you're good kind of thing is in the vagueness of the conditions. So let's get into explanation. This is how we set it up. You're going to have 8 cards and 4 cards, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need one more here. And then the 4 cards are going to be 8, and your prediction is 8. I used coin for camera. That really didn't have anything to do with it. And this is how you set it up. So if you wanted to make this like a packet trick, you could just have the 4 and the 8 all stacked together. I think it would probably be more advantageous to actually use the deck, and you could even have a shuffle deck that they gave you, and you just fetch out the 4 8s, place them down without telling them. And then similarly, so that it doesn't look too weird, you could try to kind of find some random cards to make your 8 cards, okay? Now that you've heard the number of cards we're using, you can probably see where this is going to end up, but I encourage you to watch to the end so you can see how to make this completely clean and foolable at the end. So you have your small packet here, and you're not telling them what's in it, and you have your large packet here. So one note of performance here is it's important to not note how many cards are here. Like you really don't want to mention that there are 8 cards here until the end if you need to. And instead, I like to just focus on small, large. I think another thing to emphasize in performance is that it really is their choice, right? Spectators may or may not be aware of the magician's choice idea. So really emphasizing like, hey, I'm not going to mince words with you. Whichever option you pick, that's the one we'll go with. And I think they'll be satisfied to hear that. It also is a little bit of an extra layer of deception because we are going to mince words when it comes to the prediction. But due to how we perform this, they won't notice. That's how a lot of mentalism goes. So this is a great mentalism trick. It doesn't really require sleight of hand, but like I said at the end, if you want to add a little bit of sleight of hand, we'll be able to do that. So if they choose the small packet, by now you know that that shows 8s, and that's predicted as 8. What you can do is, before revealing this, show that these are random indifferent cards, and later they'll remember that there weren't any 8s in there, and of course all the 8s are here. And so that'll be enough to satisfy like, oh wow, none of this packet had 8s, only this packet had 8s, 8 was predicted. That's how you do option 1. If you do option 2, here is what you're going to do. You're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 in the packet that they didn't choose. You can call attention to it, say, now you wanted this packet. Notice in this packet there's only 4 cards. Let's go ahead and count out how many are in this packet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now you see This is how this is now satisfied by this, because there's only 4 cards here and there's 8 cards here. So when they choose this option, you make it about the value of the cards. When they choose this option, you make it about how many cards there are. Now, how can you clean this up more? Well, first of all, like I said, I don't think you necessarily need to. You could throw these cards away and shuffle the deck. You know, once you show how many they are and you go to the other option, you could just shuffle them in. Same with these. You show that these are all these cards, they're indifferent, and then you shuffle them back into the deck and you reveal the 8s. Then they won't be able to backtrack and see that there were 8 cards here. So in either case, you can just throw things away and then they won't be able to backtrack and see, in this case, what the cards were, or in this case, how many cards there were, right? But if you want to be a little fancier, here's what you can do. If you're getting rid of these, you can take a break under 4 cards here, and I might just do that with a thumb count down to the 4th card. And that way you have 4 cards here ready to go, and you're just doing a multiple card lift. And you do that multiple card lift, you come over with these cards, and what you can say first is, these were 4 cards, and it doesn't even matter what they were, they're just indifferent cards. And now you're done. So you've shown them, and then you can kind of shuffle them in and get rid of the 8s. So that's in the case of these 4, where you're trying to get rid of this because this is the reveal. So you're going to say, before we get to those, just real quick, these are 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. You turn over, and they're just random cards, and you go from there. Shuffle them in, you've ditched that. Then you can go to the reveal and say, these are random cards as well, but look how many there are. 1, 2, 3, and you do the reveal of the 8. Okay, so that's how you do it in the first case. In the other case, where this is the reveal, the one thing they could backtrack is that there's 8 of these cards. And so what you're going to do first, before going to the deck, is show that all these cards are random. And then, if you don't even want to go to the deck, you could actually Gambler's Cop 1 card out while the audience turns this over. So if you guide them to turn these over, there's going to be a lot of heat on this and then tension building up on this. So if you want to be extra sneaky, you can Gambler's Cop 1 card away and pocket that, just pocket that random card. And then these cards that are left, there will only be 7 of them. So there's no correlation to 8 in any reasonable way that these cards could have. So if they say, oh wait, you know, what if? Then they won't be able to track it. Of course, a simpler way is to put these on top of the deck and then only count off 7 afterward. It's a little less strong, a little less deceptive, but if you're casual about it, you could get away with that too. But if you're up for it, I think an in-the-hands Gambler's Cop to your pocket would be a really cool way to do this. Ultimately, this is the power of this principle, the multiple out idea. I was just doing some research into old classic tricks because I really wanted an old classic trick that could represent this idea and kind of get you into it if you weren't exposed to it. Or if you're a magician who's been around for a while like myself, you can be surprised what's out there in the old literature. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, consider subscribing. But until next time, I will see you in the next video. Let the world know your love for magic with the merch available through this channel. We've got minimalist designs, optical illusions, and even items you can use in your magic tricks. Pick up some merch for yourself or a friend of yours who is a magician. And of course, this is just another way you can support the channel. So consider picking up some magic merch today.